Hello, 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 hello. We are live. Can you hear me? Are
Ah,
we live?
indeed.
I can hear you. Perfect. Sweet. Here we go. Wasn't sure if that would work, but we are all good to go. So, we're back. UFC review show this time instead of a preview show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, we're going to chat about UFC, what's happening, what's been happening, um, what's going to be happening as well. But yes, I'm here with the All Father, Mr. Craig Mitchell.
Hello.
And I'm now officially the micro pig, haven't
Oh, yeah.
I?
I completely forgot about that.
uh,
You and the micro pig passing.
I don't know why I put that option up, to be perfectly honest, but
I bet it was your favorite choice, actually.
it was. I can't even remember the other choices, to be honest, but it was a pretty cool little choice.
I think,
And
in fairness, it was probably best putting up to a poll as opposed to giving free reign because I don't think the cunt is a really good nickname for you.
well, it's not a nickname. That's like more my official name, isn't it? Really. So
Persona.
yeah. Oh man. Right.
Almost somewhat.
Fuck. That was loud. Sorry. I'm just
What?
bringing up now. What my thought was today as well. There's an option to run polls as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought what we could even do uh, while we're going along is run some polls and see what folk think. I'm just going to quickly try. Is the micro pig a banging nickname?
Nope.
I'm just gonna see if it works, and then we can use it for for going forward. It's been for a minute just
Fair
now.
enough.
Poll, yes, vote, perfect. Yeah, it does work. Ace, excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, that's going to be in there for a minute or so. Right, okay, yeah. So we can use the polls while we're going along, so people can vote on what they want to be. Because I know there's a couple of things that we're going to kind of go through that might be about who's next for who and what things are excited for. So we can use the polls as a judge of that. But in the meantime, if you're on Twitch, you can use hashtag Massey and Mitch, and that brings up all the stuff for here as well that we can talk through as well. But the main reason we're here is to have a review over what's been happening in the UFC. So obviously we've just had UFC 253.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a strange card, really. Uh, it had probably some of the most anticipated fights, or at least the most anticipated main event I've seen in a while. Um, but there was also some sort of under the radar kind of fights in there as well. So, um, yeah, what was your thoughts on UFC 253? How did you see it going?
I sat and was thoroughly entertained for the entire card. Like there wasn't really any point that I was sitting there being like, "Man, I'm done with this." Admittedly, when I got to the title fights, I was really flagging. I was exhausted, so I was like, "Man, I hope this is quick finishes." And of course, we got, relatively speaking, quick finishes and two second round finishes with obviously Jan Blankfish, the new Polish UFC champion. And then we have Israel Adesanya keeping his title. So it was really good. A couple of fights that really flew under the radar. I mean, the Kaikar France fight was incredible. If you didn't see it, like sort of like instantaneous dual knockdown at one point, the crazy spinning back elbow. What was the name of the guy who was fighting?
Brandon Royval.
Royval, that's the one. It was just mental. Obviously, getting the submission win, um, and like that could have went either way. Like the fight was just very back and forth. I think Royval was actually he was coming out on top of most of the exchanges, apart from getting dropped at one point and being very stanky legged. That was good. It was really good. It's really entertaining.
Yeah.
A couple of the undercard fights were really good as well. Some of the prelim matches. So yeah, overall it was a fantastic event. Really interesting in terms of the title fights. The winners, you know, Jan's got a couple of options in my eyes, but obviously he called out Jones, and he's got a couple of people behind him that could quite easily fit into that category. Same with Adesanya as well. He's got a couple of options, but again, he's had a bit of a call out as well. So be interested to see where that goes.
Definitely, absolutely. And I mean, you were talking also about Kai Kara France. He's a fighter that I have seen a couple of times and really been interested in where he's going to go. He's excuse me, a very exciting prospect. And to be fair, to lose the way he did, it's kind of you know, I don't think he's lost much stock in terms of his rankings anyway.
I think both fighters came off looking good in that fight. You know, it wasn't like one guy ran away with it. You know, it was pretty close either way. But yeah, it was that's like, if you were going to show people a fight to get people interested in UFC, that was the sort of thing to watch.
Definitely. And I think both these guys have a massive future ahead of them. I think that was Royval's second win, I believe, in the UFC. And I mean, fight of the night, you know, you can't really scoff at that. Dominic Reyes, Jan Blachowicz, as I said, Jan came away with the win. Another Polish UFC champ. I don't know if you saw when he got back to Poland, there was a heap of folk waiting for him at the airport. A really good kind of welcome home for him, and he seemed to be really kind of chuffed, which is fantastic. Now, Dominic Reyes, I think he's the fighter that everyone expected to win because of also the performance against Jones, and I think Dominic thought that himself as well. I think the Polish power, as it's called, was maybe underrated a little bit, but you know, I think there's a fight there as well. Again, you can easily run that one back. I think, although obviously it was a relatively early, or not an early stoppage, but it was quite a quick kind of stoppage, just coming towards the end, round 2 actually. I think there's the styles there kind of match up pretty well, and you know, it'd be interesting to see that one back, I think. But I mean, all credit to Jan, he was definitely the better fighter there.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a fight I think I could watch again. You know, I wouldn't be I'd be disappointed if they immediately rebooked that, because it doesn't warrant it. That sort of you know, second round finish, fucking state of Reyes' nose, like, and if you didn't notice, that was off of the kick that he got a couple of minutes before that, sort of, well, not a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds before that initial that final kind of flurry from Jan. So like, even if he hadn't got finished there, his nose was fucked. It was just a complete angle. Like, you know, he just struggled with that throughout the entire fight. And that sort of thing, you can't have your mind on something else like that and still expect to go 5 rounds. Like, he would have really struggled. If you ever watched the Robbie Lawler Rory McDonald fight, where McDonald's nose just gets
destroyed,
obliterated, there's nothing left, it's just mush. But yeah, that was a rough one. Like, and he had to stop that point. He was just like, my nose is fucked.
And I think as well, not even just the nose, the kicks to his ribs were making a massive impact. You could see, I think after the first or second kick, the redness and the swell in the ribs was just gnarly. Like, it was so bad. Like, I think in that instance as well, that's where Fight Island and the no crowd helps, because you can hear it and you can see it, and you know,
every bit of it.
Every bit. Absolutely, and it was crazy to see.
So what's even more gruesome about that, if you look at his side at the end of round 1, you can see toe marks. Like, you can see the slap of the foot where it's hot, and the prints, the paw prints. Now, in the second round, once he lands a couple more, the whole thing starts to bruise up. But it's so localized. That's what's even worse about it. It's not like, you look at Costa Adesanya fight. There was a couple of big whelps on Costa's leg, and his entire leg started to bruise up. Now that's bad. That's not nice. When you see that sort of damage on any part of the body, legs, ribs, whatever, it's rough. But to see that sort of just tiny little area where his foot must have just caught every time.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, that's got to stop somebody. Like that is the sort of swelling and bruising that was causing was unreal.
Mental, absolutely,
absolutely unreal.
And I think it's a testament to Jan's ability to, well, his muscle memory really to keep going for that same spot and getting it bang on each time as well. I think
like with a live opponent, like a live sparring partner, like you can maybe do that with a bag with relative success, but to do that with a live sparring partner and get that accuracy every time is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Absolutely.
And scary. Like
you
know, whoever he fights next is gonna have to think of like the kicks, and that sort of bruising is probably gonna be in the back of their mind, like leading up to that fight.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be, but it might be. It's the sort of thing that if they watch back tape, they might focus in on that as opposed to focusing on what they need to avoid. So yeah, it was rough. But yeah, I think the problem is with Reyes, like he thought he was robbed of the Jones fight. I can't remember that fight. Like I remember the result. I don't remember. I remember watching it. I don't remember anything of the fight. So I need to go back and actually see that. But...
I scored that fight for Reyes, but I don't like John Jones. So I don't know if there was bias there or not.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. Because I fucking hate John Jones as well. So
but I mean, to be fair, a lot of MMA Twitter, which are toxic in the main part, but still did score it for Reyes as well. But like I say, I'm under no illusions. I don't like John Jones, so I don't know if that came into play as well. It could have, but yeah, I mean, in UFC Embedded, Reyes was talking about it being his title and things like that as well, and I think maybe that's where he underestimated that a little bit. But we'll see what happens. Hey Spinner, thanks so much for dropping by. How are you? Hope you're good. We're just about to move on to talking about the main event of UFC 253, which was Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Now, for me, I'm a massive Izzy fan. I have been since he sort of came into UFC. I'm not going to say kickboxing days because I'm not that clued up on kickboxing or anything, but a big fan of Izzy's, and I thought this one was going to be one of his biggest tests, but really didn't pan out that way.
Nah, not in the slightest. So this old like adage of like styles making fights and this, that, and the other. Like I don't really buy into that. I understand that if you watch or if you have two stylistically different fighters, it might make things more interesting. Fair enough, but I don't think that's what made this fight. I think the style differences is what ended this fight. Costa is a walk you down, bulldoze through you fighter who's able to do it against the likes of Yoel Romero, and Yoel Romero is extremely explosive, whether it be his takedowns, his striking, whatever, is incredible in that department. Where he didn't have that against Adesanya, he stood about. Even like they took the piss out of each other, and Costa basically took the piss out of Romero, and they both laughed about it. Like these guys don't like each other, so for them to kind of turn around and be like, yeah, remember that fuck boy, like doing the whole like garden shit.
Yeah.
But like that, I think that's where Costa really fell down in this, because in terms of a fighter, Izzy is hugely counter fighter. He will lure you in, pop you, lure you in, pop you. He emulates Lex Anderson Silva in that respect. Not exactly quite the same in terms of their style, but in the same way that he can get out. And he also emulates, you spoke about his kickboxing there, he also emulates a lot of the kickboxing styles where he will be right in the pocket with you. You could throw a head kick and he'll back out of the way. He'll fold himself in half and come back at you, which is realistically for MMA, it's not the brightest idea, but if you can use it to that level, it's extremely effective. I couldn't see Israel getting beat in this fight. He would have had to get caught with something. And Costa just didn't have that. He
Yeah.
didn't have anything to catch him with. I think he landed like one punch, landed a couple leg kicks, but like that was it. That's all he had.
Yeah, and I think that's just to confirm. Costa landed 12 strikes.
12 strikes.
12 strikes. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
That's you're absolutely right. With I think everyone saw Paulo Costa against other, maybe slightly less technical fighters, and as you say, walking them down, cutting off the cage and stuff as well. That doesn't work against Adesanya. His movement, his ingenuity, his fight IQ is just levels above. And people forget this guy that was his hundredth win, I believe it was, in combat fighting, in combat sports. Sorry, he's not new to the ring. He doesn't, he's got the experience to know exactly what to do, and it just showed there exactly what he can do and what he did, and it was incredibly one-sided. The leg kicks from the start, I think, were a massive component to that as well. It kept Costa at range. His little T-Rex arms, as he said, and
Okay. Yeah.
I think from there on, there was nothing Costa could do. People say about how obviously Costa walks people down, and the narrative was that he didn't do that for whatever reason. There was a video that Downward Elbow did on Twitter, who I've spoke about before in this talk show podcast, and it showed that he actually was doing what he normally does, but Israel's movement speed was just levels above that he could stop that and get away.
Yeah. And that was the problem with Costa for this fight. He couldn't do what he normally did.
Yeah.
Like there's no way in terms of like Israel would have had to been completely off his game and trying something completely different, because his game is to negate that. And you see as well in terms of you see it very much start of the second round. Costa's still quite brazen. He's like, yeah, give me what you've got. Yeah, no problem. And as the round goes on, he keeps that sort of like, yeah, come on. But it goes from like, yeah, okay, fuck you, come on. He's like, yeah, okay, come on. Like, I'm still here. Like he was done. Like, and it's a shame. It's maybe this whole idea of the jetpack too soon. Like you can't put you can't put a jetpack on a talent and just put them straight in a title fight.
Yeah.
I think maybe it made more sense for Costa because he had taken out Yo Romero, but still, like that, it's maybe a bit too soon for him. He like Costa 100% believes he will be a champion. I think that he could, but he has to come back with an adapted skill set. He can't come back with the same skill set. Like he can't just okay, I'm just gonna keep trying to walk somebody down, because it's possible that Israel's still the champ the next time Costa is able to fight for it, and if he does the same again, he's just gonna get obliterated. So
absolutely,
it's not enough. It's not enough.
Definitely. Now there was obviously a lot of talk in the build up to it. There's a lot of talk afterwards. Obviously, first we'll touch on the build up. Now there was quite a lot of I don't know if I know you don't have Twitter, but there was a lot of like memes and things that Costa posted that were seen to be quite actually homophobic and things as well, especially when Adesanya dyed his hair pink. There's a lot of that from Costa. Now after the fight there was a moment where just as the fight ended, Izzy, as he said, he raw dogged Costa, gave him a little.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it. It was a bit of
he humped him.
Yeah, he
He simulated banging. Yeah.
Penetration.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of backlash that he received for that.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so these guys clearly were trying to get each other under each other's skin prior to the actual fight. Okay, so Costa with his black belt and throwing the white belt at Izzy and stuff. Like that sort of shit. He was trying to piss him off, and he was trying to get Costa. Sorry, he was trying to get Israel to try and run into his punches like that. That's what he wanted. He wanted to piss him off. He wanted Israel to get out of his game and go like a bull at him because that would have worked for Costa. Plain and simple. I think they both went back and forth and it got pretty nasty at points. So being homophobic and these sort of things, like those sort of slurs and the suggestions, that's not okay. But even Israel rising to it with the same sort of like, okay, well, I'll fuck you then. Like, if I'm gay, I'm gonna fuck you in the ass. Like, I don't think that's okay as well. Like it, but it's the idea of like, where does disrespecting somebody go too far? Like, when you start to say something that is offensive, when you start to say something that is seen as not okay in like I don't want to say the Western world, but like not okay in terms of mainstream like media. You wouldn't get away with being like, oh well, fuck you, gay boy. Like that's not okay. Like, somebody's sexuality doesn't matter. So I'm not okay with that on either side. But it's almost the case of like, instead of somebody just sort of turning around and being like, wait a minute, you're out of order, it just kept escalating. And unfortunately, in terms of combat sports, it's a very masculine sport in general. Like I'm not negating female fighters or anything like that. I'm just meaning like it comes with a lot of
toxic masculinity.
Well, yeah. I mean that's not the word I'm looking for. It comes with a lot of confrontation's kind of a poor way to put it, but that's what it comes with anyway. It comes with that idea of like bravado and I'm gonna beat you up and I'm stuff like that. So it's that is the culture. So it's very rare, or would have been very rare, for somebody to turn around and go, Costa, you're a bit out of order. I want you to apologize for that. You're not likely to get that unless he, straight up came out with some sort of homophobic slur, as opposed to a suggestion of, you're a gay boy, I'm gonna beat you up, sort of thing. It's there's suggesting, and then there's being outright homophobic or outright racist or outright, anything like derogatory of somebody because of who they are. There's a lot to that, and unfortunately, it's a bit of the culture of fighting, like because of what it is. It's fighting. It's very animalistic. It's very. It's not okay to say it's very basic on a simple level like that, but it is a case of like when you boil down, it's fighting. It is one guy or one girl fighting another guy or girl, to see who can beat the other person up, and taking all the skill and technicality out of it. That's what it is. It's a fight. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. But I mean, after the fight and after Israel had his rant, and he'd been ranting at Dana and he'd been ranting at cameras, and as they were getting together to announce the winner, he put his hand out to Costa and was like, okay, yeah, cool, that's fine. It's maybe not enough, because by that point it's maybe a bit late. And after you've just dry humped somebody, it's maybe a bit it's kind of taking the piss a bit. And I don't even think, like, I watched kind of back that ending today because I knew you'd want to talk about it. It's not obvious to Costa. Costa's not feeling him, like, grinding up against but when he watches that back, or when he reads all this stuff back, it's gonna be like, motherfucker, like, fuck this guy. Like, he's gonna be pissed about that. Well, he's not gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, we fought, he was better, okay, well done. Like, he's gonna be like, fuck that guy, I want to fucking kill this guy. Like,
it's funny you say that, because again, this is where your lack of Twitter comes into it. But that's exactly what's happened. Costa has watched it back. He's put up numerous videos where basically saying he didn't see Izzy humping him. He didn't feel it, obviously. I don't know if that talks more about Izzy, but he has said now that he is raging and he wants to fight and he wants to kill him. He's also made excuses that he said it's not excuses, but he did say that something happened before the fight, which meant he was 100%. But he's like, it's not an excuse. Kind of sounds a bit like an excuse to me, but
Honestly, if you were wanting to flag up that something wasn't right, you're trying to make an excuse for it.
yeah.
You can tell yourself that, and you can know that you're not 100% fine. Fighters rarely are 100%. That is a simple fact of fighting. If you're fighting, whether it be, in fact, whether you're fighting like a year apart or 6 months or 3 months apart, you're still in the gym fighting and training.
Mm-hmm.
You get hurt, you get tired, you get sore. People are still trying to hurt you in the gym. Like plain and simple. Like it's not like it's just like, oh, you only get hurt in a fight, you know? So fighters will very rarely be 100% in any way, shape, or form. There'll always be something that is causing them problems. Any competition a grappler goes to, or a kickboxer, whatever else, they'll be struggling with something. They'll be tired. They'll have DOMs. They'll be exhausted from the sparring sessions they did throughout the week. The weight cut was tough on them. There's always going to be something. So you can't sit there and expect it to be like, oh, okay, well, it's not an excuse, but I was actually injured. It's like, well, okay, cool, but what if Israel was injured as well? Like, he's not going to come out and say, oh man, my leg was fucked, but I still won there. Like, he's not going to do that. He doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Only losers will want to come out with an excuse. Only somebody who takes a loss will want to say, oh, well, it won't happen again the next time because I won't have that injury or whatever. Because, well, they don't know that. And they might have a different injury that makes it worse and they get their ass handed to them again. It doesn't matter. Like, it's you can't sit and be like, I was injured, so that's why I didn't perform very well. It's like, well, it's not. Like, injury, if you're injured, you shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah.
If you're injured. If you have something that is niggling at you and you're struggling with, then maybe you shouldn't be fighting, but you have to go in and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And mentally, you have to get that out of your head.
Yeah.
And an injury didn't affect his performance. He affected his performance.
I agree.
So it's simple as that for me.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
No, I totally agree. Absolutely. I've just put a wee poll, just asking if Izzy went too far. So if you want to vote on that poll, that'd be great. So Niall, hi, how's it going, man? Has just said Costa for me is too stiff and predictable. Any nimble fighter, as Adesanya showed, if they're clever enough, they'll outmaneuver him at every exchange. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what we're talking about. Is that Costa tried to get Izzy to play into his game, but the smarts of Izzy, the speed, the movement, just too much for Adesanya. Absolutely, too much for Costa. Sorry.
It comes down to style, plain and simple. If you allow Costa to walk in on you, you're fucked. Definitely. So that's why he kept hitting that leg kick, because then he couldn't move the same. So if you imagine that he was slow with the exchanges at the start of the fight, he takes out a leg, he's going to be even slower, and he can't win that way. But yeah, that was it. It was never going to be anything else unless it was going to be like an Anderson Silva Weidman leg check or something.
Yeah,
It had to be that shock value finish, which is not to take away from that Weidman wins actually, but it had to be something like that. Yeah. There was no way that Costa was going to fight his fight and win this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, perfect. So at the moment, the vote is 2 for no for Izzy going too far and 1 for yes. So I mean, what do you guys think about what does the chat think about what Izzy did? Obviously, there's someone that says he has gone too far. What would have been where does the line get crossed? As I said, all the talk from Costa beforehand, all the memes, all the
videos of Izzy running away, like
yeah.
That's probably a bit less like. Okay, I haven't watched that video, so I don't know if basically calls him gay at the end of it anyway. Like, I don't know what's in that video, but I know that there's a video of him with a sparring partner that runs away and he chases after.
Yeah, no, I mean that video was relatively tame. There was things like I'm wondering. Grabby says, honestly, I have zero idea what you're talking about. That's okay, Grabby. Niall found it funny given the amount of crap cost to talk. Similar has happened in boxing before too. Yeah, yeah. So the video was relatively tame in terms of other memes and stuff. If you got Costa on Twitter, he's really outspoken on there. There was things where there was an ESPN interview where Izzy was it was like two screens and Costa
Yeah.
stood up and took his top off or something, and Izzy pretended to vomit, and Costa took a photo of that and said, you know, this is my boyfriend, or I made him my bitch or something like that, and it was kind of, yeah. There was more. I can't
Make the
remember
vomit face, then it can be put into a screenshot meme of something else.
exactly. So there's a lot of that. There was one where I don't even know who it was, but it was like a black and white picture of someone standing with like a lady on their back, and Costa had his face on the person that was standing, and then Izzy's on the lady that was on his back. I don't know. It was weird, but oh god, my chair. But yeah, there was a lot more to it. I should have been able to bring it up, but I can't. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, you know there's a lot of stuff on there. Yeah. So yeah.
And
Sorry, on you go.
I think like in terms of we were talking about like who's next for both of these guys. Like if we were talking about who's next for Izzy, I mean he's already called out. He's not even called out the winner between where are we? Um, between Whitaker and Cannonier. He's basically just been like, I want Cannonier.
Yeah.
I think he walks through Whitaker and that's it. And there was a suggestion that it's like, well, actually, Whitaker's maybe the more deserving, especially if he wins. But Whitaker is a bigger problem. And Whitaker has not been able to get the rematch because of his injuries and things like that. So, like, for me, that's the fight to make. But ultimately, like, if he gets beat, it doesn't matter. Like, Cannonier can walk in and go, well, actually, I beat the most logical person. So that makes me next in line. So I like the idea that Israel wants to fight everyone. He wants to go through every fighter on the roster. Like I don't think he's even that bothered about if they are worthy or not. He wants to go through everyone. He wants his whole legacy talk about, you know, he wants to be the GOAT. He wants to be the greatest of all time in the terms of he fought everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's doing this. I'm not entirely convinced that it's the idea of he's thinking, oh man, Wicker's a terrible fight for me. I'm going to go after the other guy. I think he's just like, well, I fought Wicker, I beat him, and I can beat him again. So let's fight somebody I haven't fought.
Absolutely, and I think as well, you know, on the embedded again for 253, he was talking about how he just wants to fight and cement his legacy. If he has the belt, then that's just an added bonus for him, but it doesn't actually mean anything to him. It's the legacy for him that is the main sort of thing, and that's what drives him. And he wants to be the greatest of all time, whether that's in middleweight or whether that's for, you know, in the UFC, and it's commendable for him to do that. We spoke before about Dustin Poirier as well and how he's got a similar kind of outlook, but I think because of
he's not in the same position, but yeah.
That's what I was going to say, is that, you know, it's not quite the same level because, you know, Poirier's not the champ, and I don't know if he ever will be, but that's a different story. Israel is and is doing everything right. He's as you say, he's calling out everyone that in the middleweight division. He's said, as you say, said it about Cannonier, and was really respectful in his call out as well. He said that it was, you know, that Cannonier is doing things right, and if he beats Whitaker, then that's the fight to give him. Again, this is where your lack of Twitter comes into it, but there's all the John Jones talk.
There's John Jones is a lot of talk. Like
they've been they've been going back and forth all on Twitter for the last couple of days.
What, Izzy and Jones?
Yeah.
I mean, that's been months. That's well beyond this one. Like.
This last sort of week or so has been really ramped up. It's some of it's been quite bad. I know Izzy brought up John's mum, who passed away, and there's been some racial remarks as well. It's not been pretty. But with John Jones, he's vacated light heavyweight. He's maybe gone up to heavyweight, so I don't know how. I feel like it's
I mean, at the
more.
moment, I don't even think he's officially under contract. Like he's basically been like, well, I don't really need to do this, and I don't think he has a fight in his contract at the moment.
No.
He might be contracted UFC. I don't think he has a fight contracted. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
mean like fight set up. I mean as in like he has a number of fights to fulfill his contract. I think
Yeah.
he's under contract.
Yeah, I think you're right. But he has. I mean, obviously, like heavyweight title's been vacated now. Jan's, and he said he's moving up to heavyweight. So I don't know how. I feel like a lot of it is talk, and I can't really see it happening, unless it's a bit in the future where John drops back down like heavyweight, and as he moves up, I'm not sure, but it's getting quite it's getting quite bad. I'm not really. I don't like the. We're talking about how the homophobic things has been happening, and what's happened with that. It gets to a point where it's not right, and it's actually quite.
It's not okay to be an asshole to
Yeah,
somebody.
yeah,
Like, whether it's in fight game or otherwise, it's not okay. Like it's fucking. I mean, this is probably more of a personal thing, but I mean, I get fucked off like every day, whether it be cycling work, whether it be at work, whether it be dealing with a person in a shop. Like most people are generally nice. Most people are generally like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll move out of your way and I'll do all this." Especially now when like social distancing and everything's is supposed to be like the norm.
mm-hmm.
We'll not get onto that topic, but like, um, but people will make a point of like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in your way." Okay, fine. But you also get these people who are just like, "Nah, I'm just gonna do what the fuck I want because I'm the most important thing in the universe." And
Yeah,
it's like, what the fuck? Like, fucking cycling. Now I cycle mainly on the pavement, which I know pisses a lot of people off.
it's
But I
illegal.
always make a point of being like, well, if I was cycling the road, I'd piss even more people off anyway. So anyway, seeing like if you take like that as a category, like you have cyclist, and then as like me as an individual, you then think about like normal pedestrians, other cyclists, and people on vehicles. Every one of them is a fucking asshole in somewhere or other. Like pedestrians, people just won't move out of the way. They'll quite clearly see you. Had an old woman shout at me after I moved out of the way, like completely like off of the fucking pavement and out of their way. I went on a grass bit because there was two old women walking towards me, and I thought, you know what, I don't expect them. Like I'm gonna show a bit of respect. Respect your elders a bit. Moved completely off of the path, and I got shouted at, being like, "There's a road, you know." And you're like, "I've just moved out of your way. What the fuck?" But people just have this fucking thing where they need to fucking be the center of attention. If something doesn't work the way they think the world works, they're just like, fuck those guys. Like, fuck them. I'm gonna fucking like, fuck you. You're an asshole because you're not living your life the way I think you should. Like, it's fucking nonsense, and there's too much of that. Like, full stop. Like, there's so much fucking assholes in the world, and like, there's no need. Why be a dick to somebody? Why want like? Why care if somebody is fucking cycling past you? If they're not fucking smashing into you, or if they're not fucking like, you fuck out of the way. I'm cycling. Like, if they're just going past, like, why would you have to be pissed off with that? Like, but people are. People are pissed off about people being in their existence. Like, going to a shop, you're in my fucking way. Like, I have to get in the queue first. Like, I don't give a fuck about the people queuing behind. Like, man, like, fucking chill out.
So,
Fucking not that serious.
so UFC, yeah.
Yeah. I told you that's like, oh man, it's funny because like again as a sidebar, like people think that I'm really nice and really like, oh, like yeah, Mitch, he's really nice. He speaks to everybody and like he gets on with everybody. I hate people. I fucking hate people because people in general are fucking assholes. But I am of the character that I will speak to anybody. I'll chat to anybody. I'll be nice and like that's how you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
But I fucking hate people in general because people in general are fucking assholes.
Talking about assholes, just let you know, I have changed the title to Mitch Talking Shite as per. Just
Yeah, I figured like I figured that you would I suspected you had changed it earlier because I was expecting you just throw that up at any point. Basically, every time I'm talking, Mitch is talking shit.
No, I'll only use it when you go on like little rants about people walking in the street and stuff. That's the only time I'll use
An
it.
angry cyclist fan. Yeah.
Right, back to UFC. Fucking hell.
Right, yeah. So we've covered who we think should be next for Izzy.
So you're
I
thinking
don't
Cannonier, yeah?
Kanye.
Cannonier.
Okay.
Jared Cannonier.
What the fuck? When is Kanye coming to this? No, okay, yeah. I
Yeezy.
personally don't like. I think that is the fight that decides one way or the other. But I think the winner of that has to get it.
Mhm.
And if Whitaker wins it, and he turns around and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna take on the other guy," that's fucking nonsense. Like,
Yeah,
especially if he wins convincingly.
yeah,
Like, no, I'm gonna take on the other guy. I think Israel is just gonna be taking the piss,
yeah,
and I think he'll be seen as running from Whitaker, which I don't think he wants in his legacy.
yeah,
I don't think
absolutely.
he wants as a perception.
He's a smart guy as well. I think he knows what people think. So yeah.
Yeah,
What was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say. Great.
yeah, well done.
Yeah. Okay. So Costa. What about Costa? What's next for him? So he's obviously he's wanting to fight Izzy again. He's wanting to revenge the raw dogging. But that I don't think that's going to happen. So what is next for him? What can he do to get back to a level he needs to be at?
You want to talk about jetpacking somebody?
Mhm.
Give him Till.
Yeah.
Give him Darren Till. Darren Till will pick him apart because Darren Till is a far more intelligent. No, he's not far more intelligent. He's a far more counter-based striker, which is completely awful for Costa. But that's the sort of fight that people will be interested in. 100%, people will be interested. Until is coming off of what, 2 losses? Or he's like 2 losses, win, loss. He's not got a great record in his last like 5 fights. But it's all been top level guys to try and push him to that title fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he beat Gaslam. That was the middleweight debut. Then he lost to Whitaker. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I believe he was. I can't remember if it's confirmed or not, but Jack Hermanson is talking about the Till fight. Now Till is sixth in middleweight. Hermanson is fourth. You've got Romero at 5, Cannonier at 3. Who's also got Whitaker at 1. So for Costa, the options kind of are you're Jack Hermanson, you're Romero, who he's already beaten, Darren Till. Then you're looking at Derek Brunson, Kevin Gastelum, Chris Weidman. I don't know if you heard. Chris Weidman said he can beat Israel Adesanya easily. He said it's. He said the way that
Weidman believes it. That is the difference. Weidman believes it. He believed he could beat Silva when nobody else could, and he's got that like New Yorker mentality of like, okay, fuck you, I'm gonna beat you.
Mhm.
And you know what? I think Weidman could. I genuinely believe that Weidman could be the sort of fighter to beat him, purely because of what he did against Silva.
Mhm.
He won those fights, irregardless of the fact that Silva fucked about in the first fight and then broke his leg in the second fight.
Yeah.
He won those fights. He's capable of doing it because he's already proved somebody wrong before.
Also
Twice.
though it's a couple of years ago, though, isn't it? Both those
That's a
fights.
long time ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. But genuinely, I think he could. Like, it's not completely unfeasible.
Mhm.
Maybe Rockhold could. No, like I don't. That I'm being a bit of a cunt there. I don't like Rockhold, but
Yeah,
that's it was really satisfying watching all the preview build-ups for 253 for
Jan.
watching Jan knock out Rockhold over and over. It's great. But yeah, I mean that's the sort of fights that could make sense for the next title contenders.
Mhm.
Maybe not necessarily for make sense for the next sort of number one contender fight.
Yeah.
Maybe not a case of okay, so Costa fights till one of those guys win and then they fight for the title. It doesn't make that much sense, but I still think it makes sense as okay, let's put these guys together, then we'll get number one contender out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. Right, so we spoke about Izzy. Jan. what's next for him? So as I say, he called out John Jones.
Yeah.
With John, as we kind of talked about, he has said he's moving up to heavyweight. He also tweeted saying, "Would you be annoyed if I went back down and took my belt back?" I don't know. We've got Thiago Santos, Glover Teixeira coming up soon. This is the fight that's been
Third time
postponed
it's
a
been
couple.
put
Yeah,
together.
it's been postponed twice because of COVID. So I mean, Thiago Santos is number 1, Glover Teixeira is number 3. So I mean, surely the winner of that gets a title shot. There's
And
talk.
that,
Sorry.
yeah, like no, carry on. Like that fight makes sense. That fight makes sense. If Murata wins that, Murata, sure, it's the Hammer,
Santos.
Santos. If he wins that, yeah, fucking right.
Yeah.
He's beat Jan Moretti in a very quick fashion. I think that'd be a really interesting fight. And I think actually as well, nobody else, bar maybe Gustafsson and Reyes, has been able to fight with Jones in the same way because Santos' knees were absolutely obliterated, absolutely like ripped to shreds. He had like what 4 different ligaments destroyed in one of his knee,
Yeah.
and he fought the entire 5 rounds. Nobody else knew that, and I think that is the next contender I want to see because I really enjoyed that fight with Jones. It wasn't a case of the same with Reyes where it made sense that it was like a bit of a shock that Jones won. Maybe a bit more of a shock that Jones won against Reyes, but yeah, that's a fight that I would like to see. If not Reyes Santos, that makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If we can beat Teixeira, because Teixeira is an old man, but he's got that old man knockout
Oh,
power.
absolutely, and he showed it, hasn't he? He
I
destroyed
was
Lionheart.
yeah. He's got a few wins recently,
Yep.
which
So it
right.
was, yeah. I mean, a Lionheart. That was the fight that his teeth were falling out. So it's if you can make someone's teeth fall out, I think you deserve a title shot. So number 4 and 5 is Alexander Rakic and Jiri Prochazka. Is that how you say it? They
I think
are
they said it's Prokrajec, which it's not right at all, but
okay.
Prochaska.
I know you're good with your Polish and stuff.
I mean,
But
I'm not, but I'm familiar with it.
yeah,
So
there's talk of that fight being made, which makes absolute sense to me. I think the winner of that probably gets a title shot afterwards, unless Jan loses and gets the immediate rematch. But that's another good one there.
I mean, I don't know if that makes sense as a title fight. It makes sense as a number 1 contender eliminator, but I
Yeah,
don't think that makes sense as a number 1 contender fight because you get 3 guys above that. Like, um, but certainly it's a fight to decide. Okay, who should really be getting the next number 1 contender fight? Like, who's got that? Who's got that right? But I don't think
yeah,
that's a title fight decider. Like, I think it's kind of okay, the UFC rankings and who gets title fights has never been the most accurate. You
yeah,
know, you've had guys that are almost outside top 10, and they're touting them for title fights.
yeah,
Conor McGregor fought one guy in top 10, top 5, and then got a title fight because of the character he had around him, because of the money that he could make. But I mean, so picking up on McGregor for a second, Jones is doing the exact same shit that McGregor does. He is like, yeah, I'll fight. Give me that title fight. Give me that title fight. Give me that title fight. And actually, it's like, well, you're not doing fuck all right now. Like, and Jones is very much in that space because he's talking about a fight with Izzy, who's middleweight champion.
yeah,
He's talking about a fight with Stipe,
yeah,
heavyweight champion, and now he's talking about a fight with Jan. It's fucking nonsense.
yeah. I agree.
It's he's sitting on the sidelines, and for somebody who people tout as being the greatest fighter, he's sitting pound for pound
Number 1.
number one right now, and that's fucking nonsense. Like, above Khabib,
Yeah.
like Khabib has destroyed everybody he's went up against. He's lost what, a single round his entire
Yep.
career. How the fuck?
28 and
But
0.
it's DJ all again. Like,
Yeah.
DJ was number one, lost one fight, and that was it. He was gone. I mean, he was gone from the UFC then, but it's just it doesn't make sense to me. But
Yeah.
it's because he's a money draw.
Yeah.
He's pound for pound one of the biggest money draws that they have. That's what it comes down to, plain and simple.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm just looking at the pound for pound ranks just now. So Khabib second, Israel's actually moved up to third. You know, it makes sense having the undefeated ones at the top.
Yeah.
But as you say, rankings can sometimes be bullshit, really.
They're skewed.
Yeah.
Although there was a really interesting thing they talked about, I think it was in the Ron Perlman opening, where they were talking about the current batch of title holders have like less than 20 losses. It's not quite that. It's more than that. But
Yeah,
like,
I know
between all these guys is like they had a body of work that meant that there was 2 undefeated fighters in there. There was 3 undefeated fighters there because you got Khabib as well, and an absolute tranche of other fighters who have superior winning to loss records. Like they're fuck, their KDR is better than anybody else's. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that's a really interesting dynamic. You know, you don't have just guys swinging for the fences anymore and seeing who wins and comes out with the title. You know, you've got clear champions, clear top of division fighters now, and that's really interesting for the sport itself. But if UFC keeps going down this kind of boxing route of okay, well, let's get this guy who makes a lot of money and talks shit all the time. Let's get him a title fight because people will pay for that. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think we kind of covered UFC 253. So overall, happy with it? Enjoyed it?
Brilliant card. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Every fight was good. There was nothing I was sitting watching there going, okay, I'm bored of this. Coming from a perspective of I understand fighting a bit more than a casual viewer, so I can enjoy the armchair. Like, from somebody that trains, so when there's like, a ground exchange, I understand what's going on there. It interests me.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody watching it would be like, why the hugging? Like, what the fuck is this? Stand them up, ref. Like, that, like, I enjoyed every fight. So it was a really good card. Really good card.
Excellent. That's quite interesting what you said about obviously the ground game and stuff like that. It's something that when I first started watching UFC, it was like the Conor McGregor and stuff that got me into the striking, the knockouts, all that sort of things. But the more the more that you kind of appreciate what happens on the ground and things like that, it's so great to watch some of these top level grapplers do what they do. Like, I mean, I used to hate Usman. A lot of it was to do with like his persona and stuff, I think. But after watching him and realizing what he actually does, it's probably the most dominant I've seen anyone, apart from Khabib, obviously. I mean, Khabib's another one that I was never really a fan of because it was perceived as boring, so I never really watched his fights that much. But when you actually watch what he does, it's incredible. Like, to dominate someone who's the same weight as you, who has had probably the same amount of training as you have, but also in different disciplines, and to dominate like that, it's just mental, and it's an art, an absolute art.
Art is the way to talk about it, 100%. Because, I mean, if you focus in on the idea of grappling, that's one part of it, and he's got the art of wrestling.
Yeah.
Almost down to a T. Likes of a Damian Maia, bit less Jacare Souza, although Jacare Souza is still like that elite level grappling where they can take that discipline put an extra layer on it and absolutely dominate him. The unfortunate side of thing is that in terms of money wise, in terms of entertainment wise, it's not as entertaining to a casual viewer. So people just don't give a fuck, you know. But it's an absolute art. And what Khabib does is shut someone down, and you knock somebody out, and it's like, holy shit, that was a big punch or a big kick. It's a flash moment. But if you take somebody down, if you shut them down completely, they can't get back up, they can't defend themselves. You beat them at a whole other level.
Yeah.
Whole other level. And that is what is incredible at Khabib.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's incredible to watch. And I would say if you don't know that side of the game, it's really interesting to find out about it and really learn what they do and learn it. You know, as I say, it's watching art in progress. You know, it's kind of similar to we're talking about how Izzy shut down Costa in terms of his movement and things like that, but it's a completely different level. You know, it's just it's incredible to watch.
It's a similar sort of principle though.
Yeah.
Because he shut down Costa's offense.
Yeah.
Now the difference with stand up, he shut him down. He couldn't get in. He couldn't get effective striking off. But there is still every opportunity. As soon as you stop doing that, somebody can knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that with grappling. Like somebody's on top of you, and you can't knock them out from there. Maybe in some positions you can submit them, or you can sweep them and change the exchange just like that. But it's not on the same level. It's a very different level. It's not the same simplistic. If Khabib decides he's not going to punch somebody anymore, he's still on top of them.
Yeah.
If if Israel decides he's got to stop attacking somebody, he's open to get beat. Mm-hmm. Like it's very different. But again, we went back to the idea like Costa getting shut down in terms of he knew he was in trouble. He was getting less and less and less confident and just shut out, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, same sort of principle.
Absolutely.
Shutting down an opponent.
Just throw a quick audible out there. If you had to sort of recommend people go and watch, you know, say 3 top level BJJ wrestlers and strikers, who would you put in those classes to go and watch and study?
Do you mean to, like, as a casual fan, to say, look, watch these guys, they're the best at it?
Yeah.
That's a really difficult one, actually. In terms of striking, okay, so I would maybe say the likes of, I would say more Anderson Silva than Adesanya. Yeah. Because Silva did it on a different level in terms of we'd never seen it before. Mm-hmm. Never seen it before.
Revolutionary.
Yeah. Just different level movement that Adesanya has and emulates in different ways, but it's not what makes Israel, whereas that was what made Silva. Mm-hmm. Was the movement and then complete devastation when he countered. So probably, Silva, that makes the most sense, I think, in terms of striking. Okay. If it was to be, if you were to take somebody as a casual fan and say, hey, watch this guy, because what he does striking is incredible. Grappling, I would say Gunnar Nelson, mm-hmm. because Gunnar Nelson was winning fights in an exciting fashion when he was grappling. So for me, watching Damian Maia crush somebody and just take the will out of their defense and be able to finish somebody with a submission that way, or even a Jacare Souza where he would do the same sort of thing. Jacare also started knocking people out. Yep. He would as a jiu-jitsu fighter, he was knocking people out, which is not unheard of. That's what BJ Penn did, but it's very different. You know, you could watch a Souza match and it's purely stand-up, where you watch a Damian Maia match and it shows the elite level grappling that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as exciting though,
Yeah.
especially if you watch the Silva Maya match. He made an absolute asshole out of Maya, and it kind of killed his career a little. So that would probably be those two in terms of grappling and striking. You said one other one. What was the other one?
Just wrestling in general, because you know you've got your like your Usman, your Khabib, that kind of thing. It's obviously with BJJ.
Earlier fighting Khabib. Earlier
Right.
fighting, like when he was not long in the UFC, is probably the most exciting because he still holds. Now, does he still hold the record for most takedowns in a fight? Because I don't think it is him anymore.
Let's have a quick look.
It might be, but I think somebody else managed to get more or equal it.
No, it's Khabib.
It is Khabib.
Yeah,
Okay.
most holds the record for most takedowns a single fight at 21. Fucking hell.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I
Jesus.
remember watching that fight, and he ragged all the guy. I can't remember who he was up against, but he ragged all of them for fucking 15 minutes.
It was at UFC 160, and it was.
And that's still early on Khabib's UFC career.
Yeah. Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Who's that? I'll double check 2 seconds.
I would kind of then add the point, however, if you were wanting to talk about wrestling as a style, you could probably talk about DC because he used wrestling extremely effectively, and the throws, not the takedowns, they're fucking throws that he did with that high crotch and just flipping somebody on the head. That's really exciting. However, again, DC has got some really interesting striking. So if you were talking about purely wrestling base, probably those three.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it'd be those three guys, bar maybe the Gunnar Nelson one, is because they're at the top of the game and they use those skill sets to be the highest level. Now, Gunnar Nelson was doing that for a while. He actually then hit a brick wall on Damian Maia and got beat because Maia was just far too experienced.
Yep.
But that was a huge, interesting matchup from a jiu-jitsu perspective, jiu-jitsu practitioner's perspective, because it was like, okay, here's two guys who are like elite, top level, world champion, and up and coming MMA star who is again at that top level and showing that he's at that top level in the MMA side of things. So when they fought, it was very interesting to see. But Maya was far too experienced to be overwhelmed the way that Gunnar Nelson had been doing it to other guys.
Yeah. It was Abel Trujillo.
Abel Trujillo.
Yeah. That he set up the record for takedowns against. Okay, great. I just thought while we're on the subject we'd chat about it. So if you're wanting to learn, see the sort of the peak of striking, you'd say Anderson Silva, and ground game would be your Gunnar Nelson and Khabib, early Khabib.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, pretty much. There's been other guys in there that I think there's been fights that have been really interesting, specifically from striking perspective or grappling perspective, but I think those guys really personify it.
And I would say as well, like one that because obviously I started watching UFC maybe 2000, when did I start? 14ish, maybe 15. Someone that I never really understood how good they were was George St. Pierre, and in terms of like the all round game, and what he used to do to opponents.
Yeah, and GSP maybe for the wrestling side of things, he wasn't a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like a DC, top level wrestler. He trained martial arts and then adapted wrestling into his game, and he discovered that he could smother people with it.
Yeah.
So his wrestling is very unique for the time. But yeah, you can't, like, I always find it really funny, like where people don't know who GSP is, BJ Penn, barely know who fucking Hoist Gracie is. Like, oh yeah, that's that first guy. He
Yeah.
won the first one. You're like, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
How can you not know about these guys? But yeah, so many incredible. I mean, at this point now, you've probably got people who don't know who Anderson Silva is.
Mhm.
You know, you would have people who would kind of be like, "Oh, Anderson Silva's fighting," and they'd be like, "Oh, this guy was once the best in the world," and all the rest, and they'd be like, I don't really care," you know, because he's not been active a lot for the past 4 years, 5 years
Yeah.
maybe.
And he's over 40 years old as well, isn't he? So.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, he's another artist.
Mhm.
He's a martial artist. He's not an MMA fighter. He's a martial artist.
Yeah.
GSP is a martial artist. BJ Penn, totally different because he was a fighter, pure and simple. He fought Lyoto Machida
Mhm.
at light heavyweight, and this is a guy that fought at lightweight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in fact, it came down to featherweight as well. Like, oh man, Frankie Edgar. You talk about wrestling. Frankie Edgar is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But again, he's got some incredible striking matches. Yeah, that like. But again, Frankie Edgar is another example. Like Frankie Edgar in his heyday, Frankie Edgar, fucking incredible. But people will be like, "Oh, I don't know these guys," like because they just got into a different time.
Mhm.
There's guys that I don't know from Pride. There's guys that I don't know from Strike Force name as well. You know, Strike Force obviously they're taken over by UFC
Yeah.
as well.
I
Where
mean,
likes of Overeem,
yeah.
DC,
Rockhold.
Jackery, Rockhold, Weidman, like all these guys came from there.
Mhm.
But you know, I don't know them as much, so I didn't follow Strike Force, plain and simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Benson Henderson, like another guy that is incredible. He was incredible and at the top of his game at one point.
Yeah.
Now he is, I think he's toiling a little in Bellator, although he's
Yeah.
still fighting. I mean, he fought Michael Chandler not
Yep.
that long ago.
Yep.
And Chandler is now in
UFC.
the UFC
Mhm.
and is back up for the 254 main event.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny to say about Benson Henderson actually, because he's one of those that I saw one of his fights. I can't remember who it was against, but that he was one where I was like, "Holy shit!" Like this is more than just like your typical boxing or your typical fighting. You know, really can't remember who it was he fought, but it was crazy to watch and see someone at such a high level doing what he did. And it's a shame, as you know, that he's kind of fallen off a little bit, but
Wasn't popular.
yeah.
And it's weird because he was incredible.
Mhm.
You go back and watch Edgar Henderson. I can't remember if they fought twice or if it was just once, but that certainly that fight stands out for me as that was an incredible fight because you had Edgar who's Rocky. He's the UFC's Rocky fighter because
Yeah.
he was 2 rounds down against Gary Maynard and came back and won 3-2. Managed to get a draw result after getting the shit kicked out of him for 3 rounds. He is the Rocky character.
Mhm.
He's got the Rocky story behind him, and it really upsets me that Edgar kind of got screwed when McGregor came in the scene because McGregor took over and didn't want to fight Edgar, plain and simple, because he was a horrible matchup for him. So yeah, it's just there's guys like that and fights like that that really make things make me excited and still evoke a feeling of excitement thinking about it afterwards. It's like, man, that was fucking incredible, you know. But you know, it's you're gonna have people coming in now who will know a lot of these fighters that are on main cards, and I'm sitting there like, well, I haven't properly watched in a number of years, a bit more now. Obviously, I'm watching a lot more, but I didn't watch UFC probably for years because I didn't give a shit. I was like, I'm not staying up to the stupid o'clock, and I got fed up of the boxing promotion, plain and simple. I think McGregor probably made me lose interest in UFC. And initially, I actually quite enjoyed McGregor's fights, but the more he became a personality, it kind of put me off.
He almost became and has become more than the UFC, and I think that's where I think that's where the issue is now with what to do with him.
Okay. I see the point you're making there, but he is 100% not. When was the last time he fought?
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying in the eyes of many, he is.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So somebody could be like, oh well, McGregor's bigger in UFC. He can do boxing. He can do whatever he
Mm-hmm.
wants. Um, Same with John Jones. You know, oh, he's bigger in UFC, but he's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he's not fighting in that card, if he's not there, okay, we'll find somebody
Mm-hmm.
else. Fuck you.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
We'll make somebody else a star. Like they don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like really don't give a fuck.
I think,
And they like these guys because they make them money. But
yeah,
yeah, otherwise, fuck them. Like they have other people to make stars out.
and I mean that kind of brings on to the next sort of point that I was going to be talking about was the Connor and Dustin stuff that's been talked about. So it's been a weird sort of back and forth. It started off with Dustin not getting the Tony Ferguson fight, because he wasn't getting paid enough. Then
We talked about that ourselves, like the opinions we had and why that might be.
yeah,
But I'll come back to that because actually I was thinking about it today, and I think my perception's changed a little with all the shit that's going on.
okay. So yeah, well, yeah. I mean, what's changed your perception then? What's the
So, well, you're leading on to the fact that McGregor and Poirier are now being like, right, we're going to do a charity fight, and Dana's not involved. Like, you know, UFC is not involved. And it's not even they're saying UFC is not involved, they're saying Dana's not involved. And people forget Dana isn't the company. He used to be. He's not anymore. You know, they could pick up Dana and go, okay, we've got somebody else now, because they're owned by a different company. But Dana is still very much the face of presenting UFC, not in terms of face UFC as in terms of fighter, but still very much that kind of figurehead. So Connor has been outright like sharing DMs with Dana, being like, first off, there was the talk about the boxing match, right?
yeah. With Pacquiao.
Yeah, and that fucking he did well against Jones Jr., but wait, not Jones Jr. Floyd Mayweather. Sorry, yeah. Jones Jr. is fighting Tyson, or maybe not fighting Tyson anymore. Like
Yes, yeah.
But anyway, he did well against him. He did far better than NB thought he would, and he's not a boxer, and he is 100% not a boxer. So to now be like, oh well, I took on one of the biggest names in boxing history. Let's take on the other guy who's one of the biggest names in boxing history. I don't think you'd get the same. I think you'd get annihilated by Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Like, I think Pacquiao would be a far more difficult fight because Pacquiao would get in there to fucking fight him. He'd get in there to beat him up. And I think he'd get annihilated far sooner than he did in the Mayweather fight. So the last sort of run of DMs was him talking about, okay, give me who's next after Gaethje and Khabib.
Yeah.
Now, he's not there. He's fucking like a mile away. Like, he's not even in the rankings, not just because he's a fucking asshole and is like off doing his own thing, but because he hasn't fought. He got annihilated by Khabib in his last fight. Like, he's not that guy. He's not the top of the division anymore. And he's been away for so long that he's not relevant. In my eyes, he is not relevant in that division whatsoever. So Dana was like, yeah, tell you what, I'll give you the title fight and we'll do it fight week next year. And it's like, nah, it's too long. Like, well, look, I'm telling you, this is what we want to do. This is what's going to make money. If you want to fight, this is what we'll do. It's like, nah, I want to fight earlier. Like, do something in December. And Dana's like, nah, look, I've already talked about this. If you want this to happen, this is what's happening. Like, that, paraphrasing, obviously, Dana is a bit more, I don't know if he's more eloquent than being like that, but I don't think he'd be like, nah, mate, fuck off, Connor. Like, I don't think he'd be speaking a Scottish accent either. So
Get wrecked, you prick.
I fuck it. Um, so like yeah, like Dana wants him. Dana wants him because he makes big money
Yeah.
and he makes headlines. He makes news. Not always for the right thing, but that's another point. But he makes some money. So Dana wants Connor. He doesn't need him, but he wants him. He wants to make money and he wants to be like, well, this guy can put on. We can pay this guy £1 million. He can make that money easy.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? And that's why Dana would go, yeah, right, let's get him on a card. But he's not bigger than that.
Yeah.
Now, where we were talking about the Poirier Ferguson fight, you were on the sort of opinion that he wasn't getting paid enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah.
Whereas okay, yeah. So I was kind of in the opinion being like, I don't think it's that. I think there's something else to it because Poirier's came out and said, right, look, I'm at the end of my career, not quite there, but I'm in the sort of twilight of my career. I want to fight guys that is going to be part of my legacy. A lot of people are enjoying talking about their
Yeah.
legacy. And Poirier said that like a year ago, that I want to fight guys that's going to be legacy fights. Ferguson, I think, needs that Poirier fight because that makes perfect sense. Both the guys are still right up there at the top of the division, and Ferguson needs a win. Needs a win. He needs to come back after getting beat by Gagey and be like, I'm still here. Like, don't you worry, I'm still here. So it's really weird because both of those guys are backups for that main event. Khabib drops out, Tony steps in. Gagey drops out, Tony steps in. Tony can't fight, and one of the other guys can't fight. Poirier steps in. Makes perfect sense. And I think Poirier maybe knew that, and he knew that. Wait a minute, I can make a bit of money out of this. So pay me. You want me to be a co-main event and possibly one of the biggest cards that we'll have in years? Pay me. And the UFC went, nah, mate, you're not that big a draw. Fuck off. Um, I think that I don't know how much Poirier's kind of been open about this whole McGregor fight in December and being like, yeah, we're going to do this for charity. But I think it's a bit of a, okay, Dana, fuck you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to pay me? Okay, well, this guy who's arguably the biggest star you've ever had is going to go and do something else. We're going to do it for charity. So contractually, they can probably manage to do that because
So we getting paid.
contractually they can't take a fight with another company. They can't go to Bellator and be like, okay, let's put on a, we breach a contract. They wouldn't do it. UFC as a company wouldn't release them from contracts because that makes money. Plain and simple. Yeah. They'll quite happily sit on their contract and be like, okay, well, you've still got another 2 years, 5 years in your contract. You don't get a fight until we say so. Like, they can do that. So I think it's an idea of like, okay, well, we want to still be relevant. The UFC's not letting us do it, so let's find a way to do it ourselves. And I think that's maybe, if Poirier has decided he wants to get paid, he's maybe kind of going, okay, let's see how far this thing goes and see if I can make a bit of money out of it. Because they'll make money out of it. They'll make money even if it's done for charity. Mm-hmm. They can make money. Somebody will pay them to put that on.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a really weird one. Like, but that's where my perspective kind of changed because Connor is now sitting there going like, I'm bigger than UFC. I'll do what the fuck I want. And Poirier is now sitting there going like, okay, I'll come along for the ride. Like, I'll do it. But that potentially kills Poirier's career. Absolutely fucking annihilates it because Poirier wants a legacy twilight end to his career. And UFC could sit there and go, let's say he's 2 years on contract, could go, okay, you don't fight for the next 2 years. You can't fight for another company for 2 years until you're released of your contract. So he can't go to Bellator, he can't go to One, he can't go anywhere else to fight anybody else. Mm-hmm. And it will kill his career.
Yeah.
It'll kill his career.
So yeah, it's a tough one. I see what they're trying to do, but there has been some movement on it. I don't know if you're aware, but Dustin says he has signed a contract for a fight with McGregor. but it's with the
Okay.
UFC. Um,
Oh,
so
okay.
they're waiting now apparently on Connor. I think they said that Monday's the deadline. So if Connor signs it, then they'll have Connor v Dustin 2 in the UFC. The plan was, as you said, a charity sparring match, December 12th in Dublin, I believe. Yeah, Dublin.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a poster and everything.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. The thing you were saying about obviously how Connor makes money for the UFC, I completely agree. The thing now though, the UFC doesn't need that money. With the whole ESPN thing, they get
Never
paid
did.
anyway.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Connor card, whether it's a Holly Holm card, they're getting paid
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay. I get the
Obviously,
point you're making about that
yeah.
because obviously you're not enamored with the card tonight. Yeah,
um,
I get that, but bearing in mind it is a fight night card,
yeah,
we're talking about in all terms.
yeah.
But I get the point you're making. Holly Holm's a bit of a draw. Like, she toppled Rousey, and
Again,
she's beat champ. She's still a draw. Like,
Holly Holm beat Rousey in 2015. I remember because I was on my honeymoon at the time.
okay,
5 years ago, she beat
yeah,
Rousey. She dropped the title the next match against Misha Tate. Yeah,
no, Misha Tate's never been champion. Holly Holm got beat by
Nunes.
Jet
No,
Andrade.
Andrade was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yes, I know.
I'm gonna double check that. I think it was Misha Tate.
No, that's bullshit. Amanda Nunes,
Was it Amanda Nunes? I think it might be. Yeah, I think.
fucking positive.
Let's have a look.
Um,
2015. Ronda Rousey, and then no Misha Tate. Yeah, it was Misha Tate. Yep, December,
yeah, okay.
March 2016. Misha Tate. 'Cause it was the rear naked choke that put her out, and she was like on the ground.
Oh fuck yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is basically, I don't think the UFC doesn't need Conor McGregor like they needed him. Back in 2015, 16 kind of thing. So I think Connor's gonna have to make some sacrifices or at least some compromises if if he wants to do what he was doing before. But we'll see what happens. Yeah,
Connor actually needs to win.
yeah, absolutely.
Connor has never defended a belt in his fucking puff. Like,
And that's going back to Cage Warriors as well. He didn't
yeah,
defend.
exactly.
He didn't defend those.
Exactly. Two-time Cage Warriors champion. Incredible achievement. What do you do next? Fuck off the UFC.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Fair enough. Win 2 titles in the UFC. What do? Fuck off and do nothing. Make whiskey. Like he's just. I don't like Conor McGregor as an individual. I don't like him as a. It's difficult to say I don't like him as a fighter because, like I said, for a long time I was actually quite excited by Conor McGregor and I enjoyed watching his fights.
Yeah.
But Conor McGregor now as an entity is a piece of shit. Like, he's fucking fights old men and sells his whiskey and talks shit on Twitter. And that's what fucking John Jones is becoming now. He's becoming the next McGregor. Yeah, I'm gonna sit back and do fuck all, and people will still respect me and think I'm still the baddest man on the planet. When you've done fuck all. Like, you've done nothing.
Yeah.
You want to be a real threat, a real draw. You have to be out there beating everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be out there being like, I'm the fucking best. I've beat everyone else, and I am the fucking one to fight next.
Mm-hmm.
I can jump up a division because I'm the fucking best in this one. It's ridiculous.
I totally agree with you, and I think that's where Izzy's mindset is refreshing because he's wanting to clear out division and then move up.
Yeah.
But he's also doing the shit talking. He's also doing the promoting and stuff that comes along with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be too far, but it's what makes someone a superstar. If you have both sides of it, and I think that's. I really I'm really excited to see what happens for Izzy, and I know he's said on countless times that if he loses, it doesn't bother him. He's just wanting to keep his legacy going, whether that's as an undefeated fighter or whether that's as a fighter who was known for taking on everyone and doing all he could, being exciting, which I think he already is getting.
And I think he has to lose at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
There'll be somebody that'll beat him. Like,
yeah.
what fighter retires undefeated?
Khabib.
Khabib could do it.
Yeah.
He 100% has a skill set to do it. I don't think Israel has the same dominating force that Khabib has behind him, but he could potentially do it.
Yeah,
he could. Like it's very possible. In fact, he wants to fight twice more, and that's him done.
He wants to finish 30-0. That was what him and his dad wanted to do, was finish at 30-0. So two more fights.
What, 28-0 just now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So why the fuck not?
Yeah.
And he can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, his next fight is against Gaethje, which we've kind of spoken about before. It was meant to be Tony, and that was the fight we all kind of wanted.
And this is where actually I find 254 really exciting, because I don't want to see Khabib run through Gaethje. I don't want to see it. I want to see Gaethje win, because I want to watch the world burn. I want to watch the UFC's plans go out the fucking window, because Gaethje turns up and is like, "Well, I beat both of your baddest men on the planet.
Yeah.
What the fuck now?" Like, because Gaethje came out of fucking nowhere doing that. Out of nowhere. He wasn't supposed to beat Tony. No way. He was not supposed to be strong enough or powerful enough to beat Tony. He shouldn't have done it, but he fucking did.
And it wasn't a case of he just did it. He
annihilated him.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, I love Tony. I really love Tony.
Yeah.
Maybe not as a personality, because he's a bit fucking mental.
A bit mental.
But I love his fights. I absolutely love his fights.
Yeah.
And like the animosity you were getting when it was supposed to be Tony Khabib and kicking the belt off the stage, and they were really like getting into it, and it was like, that's going to be incredible. Gaethje comes in, fucks it all up. Like, it was so beautiful. Like, for me, it was like, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And when you think about this fight in like less than a month's time, imagine if Gaethje's the one to do it. Imagine if Gaethje beats him. Gaethje's not the same guy. He's not. Like, what do? Run back Tony Gaethje, and Gaethje fucking annihilates him again? Then Gaethje can go off in the sunset and be like, fuck y'all. Like, look at what I did. Like, it would be fucking beautiful. And then he dropped the title to a fucking last minute, like, nobody fight. Because that would be how the world works.
Yeah.
You can't have nice things in 2020.
Yeah. I know. And especially the MMA gods as well. They're fucking ruthless.
It's just like I don't want to see it. I want Khabib to keep going, and I want Khabib to really show that he is the best. And I want him to do it because he does it in a cage. Okay, the shit talking and everything got out of hand with Conor.
Yeah.
I didn't like seeing any of that.
Yeah.
I didn't like seeing it from a perspective of, there was an interesting article where it talked about what it became was Catholics versus Muslims.
Yeah.
It became that fucking...
There was so much more to it, wasn't there?
Animalistic.
Yeah.
Russian world versus Western world. It became so much more than two guys fighting. It wasn't right. But like, I want Khabib, but Khabib otherwise works. He works his fucking ass off.
Yeah.
He is at the top of his level, top of a lot of people's levels. He is the best, the absolute best. And he works, and he's humble with it. He's not going out being like, look at me, I'm the fucking best. He's just like, okay, show me what you can do, and I'll fucking beat you every time. That's what he does. That's his mindset, and it's brilliant to see. So that I want to see him do that, and I want him to be another great example of what you can achieve, like a GSP, if you work hard at it and you respect the art of fighting. But again, I kind of want to see Gaethje fuck it all up, because people will pay money for Khabib, and people will pay money for Tony, and Gaethje's just come in and went, well, fuck you both. Like, I want to
Crazy.
see it happen. I want to see that because I kind of want to see the world kind of go, oh, fuck. The thing is, whoever fought next for the lightweight title against Gagey, you could have Tony Khabib on the undercard, and it would be the biggest fight of the night,
Oh, aye.
no matter what. Absolutely, no matter what. So you can still do it, but I think the title makes it. Like 29-0 makes it.
Yeah.
30-0 makes that fight. Gagey can just ruin all that, ruin it, absolutely destroy every plan that they have in the book.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I've just put up a wee poll just to see what the chat thinks. Does Justin beat Khabib? It's crazy. Like, I think Justin is an incredible fighter, and he's actually a really unique fighter because he has the tools at his disposal. To be a problem for Khabib. But you know, he's got the wrestling background, but he's also a crazy brawler. He's got a fair chin on him. But it's Khabib. Like, can you ever count out Khabib? I really don't know. It's gonna be mental. I mean,
No,
you know, we all thought that.
Can't count them out at all.
Yeah.
At all. Like,
it's crazy. We all thought, obviously, you know, when it was Tony and Justin, that it was gonna be Tony, and then we're gonna get the Khabib fight, and Justin just threw everything on its head. Can he do it again? The chat doesn't seem to think so. I've got one vote for no. I don't know. It's going to be incredible to watch. And that's I don't know if people are watching are aware. Oh, so we've got one yes and one no. Did you say yes? Did you, Craig?
I did.
Yeah.
I want it. I don't think he does. I don't think he does. Okay. But I want it to happen.
Okay. So just to confirm, UFC 254 is on the 24th of October. It's a 7 o'clock start for us, 7 p.m. So we don't have to fucking stay up till stupid o'clock in the morning. Or in my, what I've been doing is going to bed early and then waking up and watching it. We can stay up and fucking watch it. I know I've said to you before about doing a fight companion to watch it, and you've not been too keen. You're still not keen on it?
Taking the piss out of you too much, like.
But that's
I can't say all the things that I want to say to you.
You can say whatever you want. It's absolutely fine.
And then you lose your Twitch affiliate.
Well, as long as you're not like racist or homophobic or something like that, then it's
exactly.
fine.
I can't be any of those things.
You can say the C word if you want. It's absolutely fine.
I say that. That's fine.
You say that quite a lot.
If we get enough interest in doing it, we'll do it. It would be interesting to watch.
Okay, so. Just so I know, because I can try and hype it up from now. What sort of interest do you think you would need to do a fight companion? Because I'm so keen to do it. I'm so keen.
I don't know if you can get. I don't know what 2 new subscribers, 3.
Okay, so at the moment I'm at 7 subs, right?
Okay.
That's how much subscribers I've got.
If you get to 10, 100% we'll do it.
If you
don't get to 10, maybe I'll do it.
Okay, if I get 10 subs, we'll do a fight companion for UFC 254. So that's 3 subs to go. If we get to 20,
if any drop off, it's okay. I'll give you the fact that you got 3 more.
Okay, so 3 new subs. Okay, if we get to 20 subs,
okay,
are we doing it naked?
I mean, I think that is more likely to get you left. In fact, I think if you put up that stipulation, you'll end up with 1 sub because one guy's got to want to see that.
Yeah.
Or girl, one girl might want to see that.
Well, I know Terry.
I say guys a collective.
Someone want to see it. Okay. So if I get 3 new subs, or just 3 subs, up to 10 subs, we'll do a fight companion on October the 24th.
Yeah. If you get 100, we'll do it naked.
Okay, it is actually against the Twitch terms and conditions to do things naked, so I don't want to get banned from Twitch. So if we get if we get 1,000 subs, I might flash a nip. We'll see.
Cool.
Right. Okay, cool. So that's fine. So we can do that. Poll has ended. Does Justin beat Khabib? 2 votes for no, 1 vote for yes. So you were the vote for yes. So the other 2.
And I don't think it happens. I genuinely don't. I think that Khabib does what he always does. It has the possibility that it goes wrong for him because Gagey's got that rocket in his hand. He can end a fight that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see that fight. That card actually has a couple of really great fights on it.
Yep.
It's got a couple of interesting ones, but otherwise interesting. Am I right in saying as well? So Umar Nurmagomedov is his
Usman.
brother.
He is his cousin.
Okay. So he's fighting on the early prelims.
Of that card, is it?
Yeah, of that card.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Umar. Yeah.
we kind of talked briefly on Diego Sanchez and
Mm-hmm.
how we don't think he should be fighting. So on that vein, we've got Stefan Struve in the prelims. So you'll probably not know Stefan Struve
No,
as
I do.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Stefan Struve got told that he should never fight again because of a medical condition that he had.
Did he? I don't know.
And I think I can't remember, it was a heart condition. I think it was.
Well,
It could have been a brain condition. Either way, I don't want to see him fight. And Taivo Tuvasa,
Tsubasa.
who's fighting, I'm fairly certain is a big, absolute monster with big knockout
Yeah,
power.
power puncher. Absolutely. Yeah, and then he does when he
When
wins. He does the shoey, drinks beer from a shoe.
Oh yeah, okay, right, okay.
So
I don't want to see Stephen Struve get knocked out. I've seen
yeah,
it often enough. Like I just don't. But other than that, the card looks pretty good.
yeah, absolutely.
Whitaker Cannonier, we've spoke about that. Will be a really exciting fight because of the implications, and also watching Whitaker start his run again because he was top of that division for so long.
Yep.
You got Volkov versus Harris.
Yep.
So they're number 6 and 8. So again, big fight. Very interesting. Islam Makhachev
Yep.
going up against Dos Anjos. Dangerous one for Dos Anjos, to be honest, because Dos Anjos wants to stay relevant. He's 9th there. If he loses, he drops out of top 10, and he'll struggle.
I think the thing
He'll
is,
struggle.
the thing with him is he's taken these fights. He's taken the dangerous fights, which props to him. But you're right. You know, if he goes on like a really bad streak of losing,
Yeah,
it's not good.
it ends. Yeah, it kind of he is a great fighter, but was a great fighter. I think it's maybe more accurate to kind of make the point. He's not the fighter he used to be, certainly, but maybe it's the difference
Competition.
in competition. Yeah, that's
yep.
maybe it.
Absolutely.
The women's flyweight bout, I don't know either of these girls, so it's unfair for me to comment on either of them.
I think they've fought before. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
So Cynthia Calvillo and Lauren Murphy. I mean, you know what? Like it's number 2 and 4 in the division, so that's a big fight. Brings them both. Like it's not like it's just it's 2 women fighting. They're up there at the top of that division. That's then the title implications as well. So it will be exciting. I don't know enough about them, but that will be exciting to watch. And then you've got Ankalev versus Kutalibra. Jesus,
So
like that's a commentator's nightmare.
Yeah, that's the fight we spoke about before. It was meant to take place. I think it was at 252. It was the one where the first fight they had, Kutalawa played Possum. He pretended to be staggered, and the referee stopped the fight. And then they were meant to run it back, but then I think one of them got COVID. They rescheduled it, and then the other one got COVID as well. So this is like the second fight, but it's the 4th time they meant to fight, kind of thing. Yeah, I know. But I mean, that was a kind of good fight when it was happening. So it'd be interesting to kind of see that.
If you're at a professional level and you are playing that sort of stupid bugger tactic, you deserve to take a loss.
Like. Yeah, totally. Sorry, I was catching up in chat because I've kind of put a backseat to that. So Nell said, for Mayweather, it was a spectacle. He could have finished that fight whenever he wanted. Knew he was in no danger whatsoever to give the fans fear or something. That's obviously talking about Conor McGregor. Yeah, I agree. I think Mayweather could have stepped up if he wanted to. But you know, we got the spectacle that we wanted. And again, Conor did do well. There was a lot of boxing analysts that said that he wouldn't even land a punch. So, you know, that kind of changed a lot.
it was the fact that after that as well, boxers were being like, "Look, he did well. He did
Yeah,
what others haven't been able to do against Mayweather
yeah,
and fight him."
absolutely. And I think it's one of those things. If you go, boxing's completely different, to mixed martial arts. You can't. If you take a mixed martial artist and put them in a boxing ring, it's completely different to actually being a boxer. If a boxer goes into the mixed martial arts octagon, they're going to get smashed as well. So the fact that he managed to land punches and actually do bits against
I'm not
Mayweather,
sure. I'm not sure I agree with you in that
no,
because we've seen top level boxers. Holly Holm was a Golden Gloves
yeah,
champion, and she then went in the UFC and won. Like she won titles. So
yeah. I
um,
mean, I get if it's one of your disciplines because like even Cody Garbrandt, his boxing, he was a Golden Glove as well, I believe.
okay,
And I mean, Dustin's got some of the best boxing in the game. But I'm talking about, sorry, if you just plonked him straight in. So with Connor, he had an idea of
yeah,
boxing and striking. If you took Mayweather and put him in a ring, that's on an octagon, he's getting smashed. Take him down, do whatever you want. It's
it'd be a statement. Yeah,
yeah,
but
it's completely,
yeah, it's a completely different style and it's a
yeah,
completely different discipline. To yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's the same as if you put an MMA fighter in a grappling competition.
yeah, exactly.
Grappling is not their main discipline. Then
Yeah.
they'll struggle. They will struggle.
Well,
Like
it was like I don't know if you saw Ben Askren took on Jordan Burroughs not long after what fight was it? The Robbie Lawler fight, I think it was, in a
okay.
wrestling match for charity, and obviously Askren is a high level grappler, but Jordan Burroughs destroyed him. I don't think Askren got a point against him. Jordan Burroughs is a Olympic gold medalist wrestler for the USA. So yeah, it's just, it's apples and oranges really. Although the the disciplines are similar, I think it's completely different to actually being in like that one kind of sport. So Billy Dashin, so that's Johnny over in Australia, says your Da sells Avon. Thanks, man. Um, he voted no for he voted no for Justin beating Khabib. Yeah, man, I completely agree. We've kind of spoken about that. He also says, "Are you on Fight Island, Massey? Looks good." Well, as you can see behind me here, this side, behind me here, I am in a UFC arena. There's an octagon behind me. They just set it up not long ago, and there were like kind of folk training and stuff out there. So I think I'll probably go and do some sparring after this as well. Yeah, it's
Boy's never taken a punch in his life, but sure.
I have Zoe punches me all the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense. Fair enough.
Makes me look like I have webbed hands, does it? Oh yeah, it does actually, doesn't it? Yeah. Well. Oh well. I don't have webbed hands, just to be clear. Sparring. Yes, Billy. Sparring. Yeah. If you're not careful, I'll spar you, mate, and I'll knock you. So yeah. Sorry, we're kind of well a bit of a tangent there. Yeah, absolutely.
Let me
So,
talk to you about bikes again. Like
oh,
cycling.
for fuck's sake, please don't, you and your fucking bikes. So yeah, so upcoming year, we also spoke about UFC 254. There's a fight night before that I kind of am interested in. The weekend before, Saturday
The
17th.
Ortega fight.
Yeah, Ortega Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
That can be a very, very, very interesting fight.
So Chang Sung Jung, Korean Zombie, he's been on the go for a long time. He was up there in the terms of a big name, a big draw, and then he got mandatory conscription
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Korea.
through the Korean Army.
Yeah.
So he missed like 2 years, 3 years,
Yeah, it was a while, wasn't it?
which is a big shame. But he's come back and he's still a dangerous fight, and Ortega is as well. So like they've been talking about this being a bit of a grudge match.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why.
Okay.
What's that about?
So basically, there is pop star, he's an American Korean pop star or businessman or something, who is good friends with Korean Zombie and is his translator as well, I believe.
Okay.
there was one event where oh, Billy, thanks so much for the resub, mate. Thanks so much. That's us, one more subscriber down. So we 2 more subs, and we'll be doing a fight companion for the UFC 254. So
Wait, was he already one of your subscriptions?
he was, well, he's resubbed. Yeah, does that not count? Like, no. It does say I've got 8 subscribers now.
All right. Okay.
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 Okay. Excellent.
If it puts the number up, fair enough. I'll give you that.
Okay. Or will we say 15 then? 15 subs. We'll do a fight companion.
I mean, I would have went with 10, but
Yeah,
if you want to challenge yourself to get that 15.
Okay, I'll go 15. So if we can get 15 subs, Billy, I don't know. I was kind of just saying, if we can get 15 subs now, I'm at 8. We will do a fight companion for the UFC 254. So that means we will watch it live and be streaming at the same time, so we can kind of react in real time. So thank you so much for the sub, mate. I appreciate it. And yeah, we're on our way for that. So Korean Zombie, his translator kind of guy. Zombie went to the toilet, and Ortega had been asking for a zombie fight, and there'd been some sort of war words on Twitter between the translator and Ortega, and Ortega went up to him and slapped him, basically slapped his translator when Zombie wasn't there. So I don't know exactly why. I don't know if he'd said something or whatever, but yeah, that's kind of why it's a grudge match, and they've been trying to have the fight going for it must be at least a year or so. I think was Ortega had issues with his foot or something. He had a knee injury. He had to get surgery on his knee after the Holloway fight, so he hasn't fought since then. So it's been kind of one of those. It's been a long time.
He was in a tear before that as well, wasn't he?
You what?
Ortega was in a tear before that Holloway fight.
Yeah. Well, he's 14-1. That was his first loss. So yeah. Oh, Billy, thanks so much for coming by, mate. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Thanks so much for the sub, and yeah, take care, dude. So yeah, it's one of those that I think I'm not sure the ins and outs of it, but that's kind of the overview of what has happened with them. And yeah. Oh, sorry, I've got so Subvert Collect Unit is in the chat now. This is Terry. Terry's the one who I said we'd like to see me probably do the companion in the nude.
I told you get one subscribe for it. Like, you'll lose all your other ones, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be an interesting fight. Come there. Terry does say I'm a pimp, by the way, so I agree with that.
Says you're what?
A pimp.
Oh, pimp. Okay.
He says he's waiting for the OnlyFans. I've not set up just quite yet, mate. But you'll be the first to get a link to it when I have set up. So yeah, so that's kind of the other fight night I was wanting to sort of chat about. Obviously the main one was 254. Which, as I said, when we get to 15 subs, we will do a fight companion for that live. So yeah.
Actually, there's a point. There is, if I have a quick look, is it on the 254? There's another fighter that I want to highlight because it's a big deal. I can't remember where it is, but so National Warren Killer is fighting again. So, judging by your face, you don't know who that is.
I recognise the name. Who's?
It obviously goes out of my head now because I'm a fucking twat. Carlos Condit is fighting against me. Yeah.
What card's that?
Carlos Condit is fighting tonight against Court McGee. Two guys that, when I was watching UFC, Carlos Condit was top of the game. Carlos Condit, in my eyes, should have won. It was either a GSP fight or a Diaz fight or both. Mm-hmm. And he's a really exciting fighter. Like at one point, he had like 24 wins, 23 of them coming by a finish. He's a really exciting fighter. His last fight, he got a loss and he was really down and he was like, I'm done. I need to walk away from this. But now he's fighting again. It's on the prelims of this of
Yeah,
the Fight Pass tonight,
I can
which
see that.
surprises me, but fair enough. Like if he's coming back, if he puts on a performance, he'll he'll get eyes towards the sport because he's an exciting fighter.
Hmm.
It kind of makes sense of having him in prelims because he is a bit out of the loop. But
It's funny that you bring him up actually, because I watched a video this morning of him knocking out a US Marine. Where they were sparring, they got headgear and everything on, and he knocks him out. So
really,
he starts off, he goes, he says to the guy, he's like, I think the guy says to him, "How hard do you want to go?" And he was like, "Oh, just you hit, and then I'll just kind of go with it." And the guy obviously hits pretty fucking hard, so he's like, "Hold on a wee second," and then he absolutely sparks him out with a head kick. It's
yeah,
amazing. It's so good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're not a fighter and you're not training for a fight or you're not sparring with somebody who's training for a fight, you shouldn't go that hard.
yeah,
It's fucking
yeah,
stupid.
totally, totally.
Um, if you've ever seen the footage of Vanderlei Silva where a guy tries to axe kick him and Silva
Yes.
fucking runs
Yeah,
through
yeah,
him.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Silva's a scary guy. Like, why would you want to be that stupid?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It like again, it gets the adrenaline going. You get pumped. You get into it, and sometimes people get a bit too overzealous. Yeah.
You get pumped like Costa was by Izzy.
Mm, poor segment.
I'm sorry, that was terrible.
You
But yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Courtney as well. I don't think he's fought in a long time, so that kind of makes sense to give him that because
yeah, because
that's a
it's the headline
that's
on
a
the prelim as well.
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely fair enough.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's not.
Is it not? It says on here.
Kyler Phillips versus Cameron Else. That's apparently above it.
Uh, Are you on the actual UFC website?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Although yeah, there's a couple times they switched that around, so you
yeah.
might
It's
be
weird,
right.
isn't it? Because that fight for me, I'm on like Google. It tells you the main card and the preliminary card. That fight is like the second last fight. Oh no, sorry. There's on the main card. There's one fight, then it's that fight that you're talking about. So I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Chosen the prelims there, but
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
that for me is an interesting fight because I like Condit.
yeah.
One of my friends is Condit's probably one of his favorite fighters.
All right. Okay. Wow.
Um, so yeah, it's a good one.
Wow.
Again,
Okay.
if you want to go back and watch the fights with Diaz and GSP he had, it's really exciting. You get to watch Johnny Hendricks
Yeah.
in that era as well, and Robbie Lawler. There were some incredible fights.
You're a big Johnny Hendricks fan, weren't you?
I was, yeah, I really enjoyed Hendricks, and I thought he got screwed in the GSP
Yeah.
fight,
Yeah.
as a lot of people did around that time. There were some really awful fucking decisions then. Um, at least in my view, maybe if I was to go back and watch them, then I'd have a different perspective on it now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, there were some dodgy decisions with that. But yeah, that's as is. But great fights, some really great fights,
Yeah.
some great wars. Are worth going back in that era, and
Absolutely.
that's purely just around welterweight as well. So
Yeah.
some good fights going on around it as well.
Okay, doke. Cool. Okay. Well, was there anything else you wanted to go over, Craig? Were you happy enough with everything we spoke about?
No, I think we covered what we had kind of set out
Yeah.
there. Diego Sanchez shouldn't be fighting. Conor McGregor's done. Don't like John Jones either. That's usually like that's a pretty good rundown of like whatever I want to talk about.
And also
And the
bikes.
other
So
thing as well, when I'm cycling, yeah,
yeah.
um,
Oh man, you never go
yeah,
wrong.
like yeah, there's nah. But I think that was all I wanted to cover.
Cool. Perfect. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. So, I mean, just to kind of give a rundown, we obviously spoke about the, you know, if you were not sure who to watch or who to study in terms of their capabilities, you said that if this is for the chat, if anyone's not quite sure, go back and watch Anderson Silva for the striking. Go back and watch Early Khabib for the wrestling side of things, and it was Gunnar Nelson for the sort of ground game, jiu-jitsu, that sort of things and stuff as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, if you haven't, go back and watch those kind of guys. You'll get most of the fights on YouTube and stuff. I think as well, I had a look. Sorry.
Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass.
Fight
Have you
Pass
got that
UFC.
one?
I also found that the BT Sport app has a lot of old fights on it as well, and a lot of like cards, like they've got full cards on as well. So if you got BT Sport, go in there and there's a heap of them back there. But yeah, buzzing for, obviously, I'm not going to say the fight night tonight because it's going to be shy. Buzzing for the UFC 254.
Turns out having fucking best fights.
Yeah, I know, it probably will, but it'll be fine. I'll be happy with that. Yeah, UFC 254, October 24th. Like I say, if we get to 15 subs, we'll do a fight companion where we'll watch it live.
We will guarantee a fight companion. We might do it.
Yeah, we'll guarantee a fight companion. If we can get 15 subs, we will watch it live. It's on at 7 o'clock, the main card, on the 24th October. And we'll be reacting to it live and stuff like that as well. So if we can do that, that'll be great. I'll pop it on Twitter and stuff as well. So feel free to kind of come in. But no, thanks so much for everyone who came by in the chat. There was we've had quite a few viewers a lot of the time, to be honest. Terry wants me to flex. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Craig, you can flex as well, right?
Okay. I mean, I don't need to roll up my sleeves to flex. Right? I can just flex.
Yeah, Terry loves it. So yeah, thanks so much everyone that came by. Billy, thanks for the sub. Everyone was chatting. Grabby, thank you so much for being a good mod. She banned someone who was coming in with like links and stuff. And yeah, we will hopefully be back for the next one. I don't actually know if there's anyone online just now, but we can potentially go and do a raid because there's 5 viewers. So let's see. There's no one online. Is there? Let's have a look. Actually, I'm just gonna have a quick look and see. Oh, there's Mitch. Yeah, with his with mass emotes. We'll go into podcasts or something and find some low life. Let's see. Sorry guys. I thought if we've got 5 viewers, we as well go and raid someone, because I can do it as well. Talk shows and podcasts, live channels. Let's see for someone with like 5 or so viewers. It's us. Should we go to Bible Talk TV? No.
Bible Talk.
Bible Talk TV.
Yeah, why not?
It's a rough one. Anyone have anyone they want to raid just now? Because I can't really see much folk. About just chatting. Sorry about this, guys. We'll find someone. I kind of just want to spread the love a little bit. How about your underwear drawer? We can go and raid my underwear drawer if you want. There's not much in there. It's all holy and stuff as well. Yeah.
It doesn't mean spiritual.
I am searching, yeah. I'm just gonna... I might go random. That's Spanish, that's Chinese, that's Arabic, that's Korean. Jesus.
Why not? Donde es biblioteca?
Fuck it, actually. You know what I'll do? You know what I'm going to do? Oh, there's no one playing Pokemon. What? I think Grumpy Scotsman is going live. Oh, is he? Oh, he's literally just gone live. Yeah, let's go raid Grumpy Scotsman then. Let's do that. That's good timing then. Right, yeah, so we will /raid. Raid that Grumpy Scots man. Okay, so yeah, so thanks so much, guys, for coming by, and yeah, we'll catch you on the flip side. Right,
Thank
see
you
you
guys.
later. Bye bye.
You can actually see the gaps in between my hand.
He's doing spooky stuff. Cool. Right.